You're listening to the Frequency and Flow podcast with Brie Kirk. This is episode number 12. And in this episode, I'm going to be sharing all about how to niche your business and offers based on your own human design. So let's dive in. Back in my agency days, whenever we got a new client, we would always start with a brand immersion, the agency would, where the client would give us their detailed brand guidelines, or we would help them create the brand guidelines so that we could just kind of get into the vibe of the business and the brand. You know, things like mission and vision and values and logos and colors and the value proposition and the target audience, also known as the niche. And for most of those big clients that we had, and trust me, they were big. They were like multi-million billion-dollar businesses. This brand, like creating this brand, was really easy for them. They would give us a bunch of demographic information based on the thousands and thousands of dollars in research that they did. And so we could easily target ads to these specific demographics. And we'd just be on our way. We'd be like, great, you know, because of this experience, when it came to creating a target audience for my own business and brand strategy, I'll be honest, like I was feeling pretty stumped. Because the traditional demographics that we used to use and that are still sometimes used for ad targeting, they just didn't really feel right for me or for my business. You know, it's like, who matters if it's someone who's the age of 25 to 34 or 35 to 44, you know, and just like these little things, like who cares if they live in California or they live in Arizona, you know, like a lot of those traditional demographic type, like target audience classifications, they just didn't make any sense. It didn't feel right. It just felt really constricting. I actually spent the better part of 2 years going back and forth, trying to like narrow down my own personal target audience, like my business's target audience. And it just like didn't get much traction. I seriously, for 2 years, just kind of noodled it. And because I couldn't figure that out, I spent the better part of that time producing content that was generic, that was dull marketing content that represented what was, quite frankly, a dull and generic business of mine, which is not exactly what I was going for. I definitely was not going for dull and generic, but my messaging just left that very clear that that's what I was promoting, was dull and generic. Because you see, I'm a believer in messaging specificity in your business. It is as a huge component of creating magnetic marketing content. The dull generic messaging that I'm referring to that I had in my own business was neither magnetic, nor was it activating, nor was it helpful to any of the potential clients that I was trying to reach. It's the type of content and the type of copy that just kind of disappears into the black hole of the internet. Anyways, I digress. As I started to study human design for business, I always kind of had this in the back of my mind. Like, how can I be very specific to who I'm speaking to, but be specific in ways that were actually meaningful, not just like random like ages or where they live or whatever. I always kind of noodled this. Like, I was always just kind of like, how do I be specific, but also like not just for the sake of being specific when it didn't make sense? Because marketing is the aura of our business. And I love this concept. Like, I just want you to think about that for a second. Your marketing and your marketing strategy is the aura of your business. It attracts in potential soulmate clients, our target audience or our niche, and it repels those people who are just not a fit for us, for our services, for this time and this time right now. And so how does human design relate to that? Your human design type, actually, it represents your personal aura. And So obviously those two things are related, right? Like one is your business aura, one is your personal aura. If you're a personal brand, or even if you're the owner of a small business, like your aura is so critical to your business, even if you're not super public facing. And so this took me down a rabbit hole of contemplating how I could use my projectorness to speak to my target audience, AKA my potential soulmate clients, and how my clients, like my one-on-one consulting clients, could do this for themselves as well. So as you might know, or maybe you don't, there's 5 human design types. There's generator, manifesting generator, reflector, manifestor, projector. And each type has a unique aura that connects with the outside world in different ways. So each type has a very specific aura, and therefore how they connect to others is important. And I kind of mentioned this in the last podcast episode. So if you feel called, and you haven't already, you should go back and listen to it. But your niche or your target audience is who you either are connecting with right now or who you're trying to connect with the most. The key word is connection, right? Your aura is about how you connect with other people and other entities. And let me tell you, none of the human design types, none of these like auras have anything to do or at all with things like age bracket or where they live or other demographic information that we were forced to focus on with bigger businesses, or that you're kind of taught to focus on when you're going through traditional like ideal customer avatars or like target message, like those kind of exercises, those traditional ones that kind of force you to focus on some of that information. When looking at it through the lens of human design, you're free of that. And that's why I really resonate with this so much. So I will caveat here that in this episode, as I dive into each of these types, I'm going to be giving you more like guidelines or a framework to contemplate for yourself and for your business. But I don't want you to be limited by this. Like human design can give you a lot of very tactical things, but at least how I teach human design is that nothing about it is limiting at all. Take what resonates, take what, your intuition like is like, yes, please, this is great. And just leave the rest, So just use these as a framework. Trust your intuition, trust that where you're being guided, like think about this in relation to what you're already like contemplating or feeling. Okay. So for example, within the framework that I'm about to give you for your specific type, if you feel called to get even more specific than what I'm telling you, or you only want to work with a specific segment of that population, then by all means, go for it. So for example, maybe you don't have to, like, you really are called to work specifically with new moms or with women only. And like maybe your type, like your aura, the type of your aura you have, like you could work with anyone, but you just feel really called to work with new moms or with women specifically, like go ahead and get a little bit more specific. In fact, I recommend that if you're feeling called a certain direction, but that doesn't mean you have to limit yourself or you have to go that direction if you don't feel called to it. Okay, so this is just a framework, and within this, you can get more specific if you want, but you don't have to. So I'm going to start with the generator and the manifesting generator, because they actually are kind of similar types in many ways. Like sometimes I look at them separately, sometimes I look at them together. And in this situation, we're looking at them together. So both generators and manifesting generators have this more open and enveloping aura. That's literally how it's described in the human design like textbook. So if you are a generator or manifesting generator, your energetic strength is that you can leverage your own innate energy to inspire, to build, and to create. Like you can tap, if in the right conditions, you can tap into your own energy and like turn it into 10x, like 10x it, and that is very unique to these types. So how you can serve, how do you serve with that strength in mind? So you're an example of what living in alignment can look like, because the polarity of alignment versus out of alignment is so significantly different for you that it's very obvious to yourself and to those around you whether you are in alignment or you're not, or like to be the example of what living in alignment is or what living in alignment is not. Like that's like your calling card, is like what that alignment, like you help people see what's possible from like an energy and a sparkly magic perspective. That's a technical term, the sparkly magic. And it's just really obvious when you're in alignment or you're not in alignment, like more so than some of the other types that I'm about to talk about. So how does that relate to cultivating your own niche or your own target audience? Really, you should focus your target, like who you're speaking to should be focused around people who share similar interests or journeys as you. So when you're in your element and you're lit up and you're feeling good, like that's going to pull in people who also are excited about the same things or on a similar journey. So sharing those things, like, so how, like, what should you do? How do you take this information in a tactical way? Share what you love to do and what makes you really feel alive. And either it can be through specific activities that you're doing, it can be through like certain things that you love to do, it can be through things that you're learning. Like it's just like what throughout the day? Is it your morning smoothie or is it like the way that do you if you do Reiki, like is it how, like your process for doing Reiki and who you work with, like share more of that. And that, like, as a generator, I would say, like, by the textbook, it's more about the activities or the things that you absolutely love. Whereas um, as a manifesting generator, maybe that skews a little bit more towards your journey and your process and the path that you're on, like what you're learning and how you're learning it and how that's kind of moving you forward. So because manifesting generators can, of course, share all the things, but it's like you tend to take, like, kind of have a uh, incongruent journey because you're like looking at all these things at the same time. But regardless, by just sharing like what really lights you up and gets you excited is what's going to call in, like you're really going to speak to those people who are in your like potential clients. So that's like when you think about what your niche is or your target audience, it's people who are like share those similar interests to you or share, like, are on a similar journey to you. And so when you think of that, like how does that shape either what you offer, how you offer it, or like your marketing strategy as a whole? I just invite you to ponder that. All right. For projectors, which is me, so of course I love to speak about this, but projectors have what's called a piercing aura, which means we can kind of see the high level and we can also get really deep into the details of things and like see through like the what am I thinking of? Like we can kind of cut through the crap and dive really deep to see what's going on and potentially to fix it. So as a projector, your energetic strength is that you can see both the full picture and all the pieces that go within it. You can see both levels of that with crystal clarity. So knowing that, like, how do you serve your target audience or your potential clients? You can understand both the macro and use that macro perspective and use it to make changes at that micro level to make things better or more effective. So you're really good, if you're a projector, at helping others see things in a new way and helping them do things in a new way. So knowing this, like, how do you craft your niche or your target audience? Like, it's really around who your unique system or your unique process or your school of thought or perspective, it's who those things can help the most. So I know this is kind of cloudy sounding, so I'm going to give you a specific example in a second, but it's like, who can you benefit the most through your solution or your perspective or your system or process? So in my business, because I combine business with the spiritual, like the frequency side of human design and Gene Keys with the practical business, who would benefit from that the most are people who are already inclined more spiritually, who are entrepreneurs, so like spiritually inclined entrepreneurs. Okay, so see how I kind of went backwards? That these are two things that I love learning about, and I've combined them in a way that is unique. And so who benefits from my system the most? That's how I've crafted my niche. So when it comes to marketing, it's really about like sharing about what I know well. So, or you, like if you're a projector, share what you know well. So systems, processes, methodologies, etc. And share your vision and make it even better. Like share how to make things better using how you make things better for yourself and for others using that process that you have, and how other people can do their own part to help in that process. Okay, so you're like helping people realize that this, they love this process, or that they feel they resonate with this process, and you help them use it too. All right, manifestors, whose aura is described as closed and repelling. Not words that I would use, but just it does paint a picture, although they sound like negative words, but I love manifestors, so nothing negative meant here. Manifestors, their energetic strength is, if you're a manifestor, you inspire others like no other. Like one type, hands down, you are the most inspirational of all the types. And not just inspirational, but like motivational, directly or indirectly. So you motivate others to take quick actions and like quick, decisive actions through what you say and what you do. So, how do you serve people? You are a fire starter, right? You say the unsaid, you say the overlooked, the ignored, the unseen. You see it clearly, and you're the one that, like, hello, do you see this happening? Or like, come on, like you're the one that brings attention to it. So, and by doing so, you help people figure out what they actually believe in and how strongly they feel about that, so that if it's strong enough and if it's something they resonate enough with, you literally like inspire them into action so that they can create change, and you can literally guide them there. You know, you can give them the steps they need to create change quick and effectively. So, how do you craft your niche knowing this? Your niche, your target audience, is focused around the people who align with your truth. So the people who have a similar truth to you, that resonate with what you say, who are inspired into action by your words. Okay, that's how you create your niche. So like from a practical perspective, what does that mean? That means you need, from in your marketing, like share your values, share your beliefs, share your mission and your vision, and be completely unapologetic about it. Just share without guilt. Just share because it's your truth, and someone needs to hear it. You know, you might turn some people away. People might be turned off by what you're saying, but they're not your people. Your people are people who like you inspire into action, like quick action. Like, she is right. This is what she says is next. I'm off. I'm doing this. Okay. All right. And finally, last but of course not least or forgotten, are reflectors. So reflectors have a sampling aura, and their energetic strength is if you're a reflector, you have a powerful pulse, like you're very tapped in, you have a powerful pulse on the present, specifically communities of people and the collective as a whole. Like you are the voice of a community or of the collective as you are. And how you serve. So how do you serve people through this strength? You have an ability to tap into sources of energy and wisdom and around you. And it makes you a very powerful oracle that helps others pursue their own highest path. So you're so tapped in, you feel what's going on around you, you kind of sense the patterns that are happening. And from there, you can either give guidance and mentorship for the present moment, or you can use those patterns to see what's coming down the road to guide other people and help them not push them, but like guide them on their highest path. Okay, so how do you use this to craft your own niche? Really focus. It's around the community that you belong to, where you feel heard and where you can lead. Okay, so think about the community that you resonate with the most. So when you share what you are learning, share what you are experiencing in the present moment, and how others can leverage this wisdom going forward. So observe the trends, feel what's happening in the present moment, observe the trends, and share them and use it to guide others and help people course correct as needed. And that will draw in your people. All right. So for each of these types, just to go, I'm not going to recap necessarily, but I think knowing what your strength is, how you use it to serve, and then from there, you can figure out who you can narrow down who your niche is. And then once you narrow that down, then that will help give you clarity on your marketing strategy and your marketing content. Okay. I should have probably said this before I went into all the types, but this just kind of came through. So talking about it now, right? So for each type, once you know what your aura is like, you understand your strength. When you understand your strength, energetic strength, you understand how you can best serve people. When you know how you can best serve people, you know who those people are that you can serve. And then from there, that will craft your marketing strategy. Okay. So I know that was a lot. If you are looking for guidance, more details as you create an authentic and aligned brand strategy, you should consider a frequency and flow activation session where we will use your human design to create an aligned business and marketing strategy for 2022. You can find the link below in the episode description. Also, if you are looking, maybe not for one-on-one, but you're looking how to use this target audience and craft your own brand strategy, a more comprehensive brand strategy, I recommend you get on the waitlist for Radiant, which is a self-study program all about how to create an unmistakable brand strategy by activating your inner magic within. And the link is also below in the video description. So if you learned something new or resonated with something I said in today's episode, I would love to connect with you. DM me on Instagram, say hello, and maybe share what some of your biggest takeaways were from this episode with either you personally or your business. And in our next episode, I'm going to be releasing the weekly energetic business activation, where I will be using the cosmic transits of the week to give you specific recommendations about how to move your own business forward. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you soon.